Hello, Billy the Artist here, and today we are back with a new how to draw video, and we're going to do a kind of comic book illustration of a superhero. But this one is interesting because it's still good fun with everyone now at home homeschooling. We are going to do the superhero Joe Wicks, the body coach, in his Spiderman outfit that he did for all the kids who are doing their exercises at home. Now we need to warm our fingers up, so stretch your hands, get ready. We will be starting with the trusty 2B pencil, and I will be going into it with felt tip pens and a few pencil crayons, and I will be using cheap felt tips and bog standard pencil crayons. My pencil crayons, as I've said before, are over 20 odd years old. They've just been sitting in a tin for a long time, so it shows you can use even old stuff to create art. But we have done, please do like and subscribe and tick the bell. We have done quite recently, in the last week or so, we did do, which started it all, how to draw a toilet roll because they disappeared. We have the zombie with a zombie pencil. That's a pencil with no name, no make, no grade. We had no idea, and we did the zombie from Plants vs Zombies, and the thing that has caused us all to be in the situation we are now. So anyway, do check out those links in the cards and descriptions to my how to draw playlist. But there is also a specific playlist, 2 more videos that we've done recently and 1 from before. There we have Harry Potter. We also have Draco Malfoy and Professor Severus Snape. And we did Draco and Snape very recently after those previous 3. Harry is from a while ago. People are really enjoying doing these. Now this seems to be more complex. You might think, oh, this is very complex, but I used exactly the same techniques in these as I did for the toilet roll. So do check out those, share them with your friends and encourage them. But we are going to get on with Joe Wicks as Spider-Man. Now, we have this grid here. Check the dimensions in the banner. I put this grid down, it helps. Now in the other portraits, the more, what seemed like more traditional portraits, more complex, I use a 2 centimetre grid, and it just helps for you to put the lines in. I don't draw the grid as lightly as you should do if you were drawing a grid. I draw it dark so you can actually see the lines. Now check out the banner, and this is the dimensions that you actually need from your center lines and then the others. So do check out those. It's all in millimeters for you so that you can actually put them in. But it's just a center line, and then you divide those in half again, and the info is in that banner. But people say, oh, I can only draw a stick man. So we are going to start. There's a circle of a stick man on drawing Joe. Then we want his spine going down and his hips. And then we want the leg coming all the way down. And then his foot there. Oh, this is actually quite light. And then we want his other leg. So I'm just going to darken these down a little bit. There's his hip, there's his leg, and I'm using my 2B pencil, and I'm using the side. And then we want his other leg coming down, and then his foot kind of going there, and then we want the shoulders. Now his arm comes all the way down to his hand, and then he's got his mask that he's taken off. And then we want his left arm is kind of coming down to his hand over. So there, straight away, you can see a stickman. I did do this with Woody, I think it was, on Toy Story. Check out the How to Draw playlist. There's loads of Toy Story and other cartoon characters as well. And you can see that the basics, the underneath, is a stickman. But we're going to build up. So we've already got the circle. If you check out How to Draw Anything Part 1 using shapes, it shows you how you can use shapes to make anything. And I use that phrase that in that very first video that I did a long time ago. You can draw a bird, a bee, a flea, a tree, a horse, a house, or anything else, including Joe Wicks as Spider-Man. But what we're going to do is we're going to draw shapes. So now I'm going to draw a little box there because that's where the spider is. I'm going to draw a big rectangle for his body, and is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 pack it seems. It's no longer a 6-pack. Spider-Man has extra abs it seems on there. So there's a rectangle there. I'm going to draw a rectangle for his right wrist, and again his shoulder there. Now we want his arm coming down, and he's got a plaster cast on because he did have an accident, so we want another rectangle there. I'm just going to put a little square in for his hand. His hand here is a bit lower, and I want a rectangle there and a rectangle there and a little triangle there, and that will make up his mask that's coming off the side. Now his leg, we want a long rectangle for his leg, his upper thigh, and then we want a thinner one going down for his right shin, and then his shoe, his foot, shoe, slipper, whatever it is, whatever you call Spider-Man's outfit. Does he go out in his pyjamas or the slippers? Who knows? Anyway, we want another rectangle for that thigh, another rectangle going down for that leg, and then another rectangle with a triangle on the end pointed for his left foot. Now we've got his head, but what we're going to do is we need to show we've got a little curve there and a bit of a rectangle for his neck, for Joe's neck going up, and then where his face is. Now again, we've got this space here, his hair coming down, his long hair, and this space where his face is, you just draw an oval inside, coming down to where the chin is above his shoulder. Again, these are all very, very quick construction lines, but this is how you can actually draw a face. So you can see you've got his hair at the top, we've got two lines there, and then you kind of come down, it's about 1 centimetre. And this is just drawing eyes. So if we draw a centre line right down the centre, that's going to be where Joe's nose is. And you want a triangle there. And then we want 2 rectangles there. And that will be where Joe's eyes fit in. And then we want, I mean, you can put a rectangle in, but it's a kind of like a lemon slice, which is his nice smile, and then you've got his goatee beard coming down underneath. Oh, it's a full beard really, it's not just a goatee, is it? But he's got this fantastic set of shapes. And we've got his nose, and we want his beard coming off around, and then you've got the bit underneath his bottom lip, little triangle. Now in these little rectangles you've got at the top where we indicated where his eyes are, we can just put his eyebrow at the top, just slightly curved, again with that one, and then you can see you've got his eye. I'm just putting a little mark in where his open eye is and his eyeball. And then I'm just curving round underneath to indicate his eyes. You've got the side of his nose. So I've just put in very, very quickly and very simply a load of shapes. And now we're going to go over and just kind of build up a quick detail line. And I'm pressing on quite dark, you don't have to. And then we're going to go over with a pen. So at the bottom of his nose, you can see to the right, we want his ear. And he's got his little earbuds in. So you want to leave that as white as possible. And so again, come across from the bottom of his nose, and his hair comes over this earlobe, but you can just see the bottom of his earbud sticking out. And this helps to just give some definition for his face. Now if we come down to where the spider is, we can see that there is, in fact we'll just come down off the top of his, where you've got his collar coming round. We've got a centre line coming all the way down, and it kind of comes through the centre. So we can draw that line down, bring that all the way down, and it comes down through you using these other grid centre lines. And it comes all the way down underneath to the bottom, just underneath this horizontal centre line in the page. And then we can just darken that up underneath. Now, what we need to do is actually put his spider in. And we've got this rectangle here. Now, the spider has got, we'll put a little square in, it's got a point at the bottom. And that's the spider's head. And then the body, again, you've got, if you just put a little box in, you can put that little triangle, little diamond shape, a little V, it's basically a V. And then the body comes down, just touches the centre line, and then you've got a V again at the bottom. And then here you've got the lines that follow out. So you've got a V right next to the head and it goes off, and this is the legs. And the same on the next part. And then the leg on this side. So you do a V, line up just to match on that side, and then it comes down and matches to the side of the bottom of the body, and then you want another V, and then that goes up, and then that comes down. Now, coming off the bottom of the body, we've got Joe's Spider-Man outfit's chest muscles, and they're going up. And then his shoulder curves and comes down to the side, and his arm points out. And then you've got like an M shape there. Now, coming down the side, we've got this little rectangle which we started with for his tummy muscles. And we can see it just peels off a little bit to the left. And you bring that down. And we need the same on this side. So it peels off and then kicks back in. So straight away you can see that we're starting to give the definition to the shape of the muscles built into the costume. Now again, the chest muscle goes up to his shoulder here. So you just want a slight diagonal line that kind of goes up to the halfway. And we've got a little fold, so we'll just put a couple of fold lines in. You can curve it round, but we'll now bring off his shoulder. So again, follow the shoulder line round from this one, and you can see it's angled and it comes up and over, and it kind of goes across the top and then comes down to meet about 3/4 of the way across. You want to curve and then just a little bump past, and then it goes out past the edge. And that's Joe's shoulders of his Spider-Man outfit. Now, with his big muscles down the side with his arm, we've got these rectangles, but we've also got these lovely shapes of the red, and that will help us to actually give definition to his arm. So here we can see underneath, we can bring across the cuff, and you've already put your construction lines down. So this is just like, well, basically you've got a long rectangle there and you've got a little rectangle going across, and that's what makes the red. It's like a big R, a big simple letter R. And then that goes up. And then you can see you've already got the shape filled in, going down to where his wrist is, the side of his wrist down to his hand. Now his arm, the shoulder comes down and then it just curves out to come down and join where the elbow is. And then you can build up the arm and then the side of his body. Now there's a little line that follows above, and that's a little red line, and you've got the same on his side, and that goes up, and that's just an inverted V, and all that will be black. So straight away you can see we've got the body really starting to appear. Now if we come back onto his muscles as we move across and his chest, we can see there's a point here where it joins, and it's just like a bird. So when you like kind of sketch a bird, so you've got a point right on the centre line. So from here, just draw one of those kind of seagull-like line birds that you do, and that's very, very simple. If you do one the opposite way underneath, we've then got the next set of abdominal muscles, and they go over, and then we want another one, just a nice smile underneath, and then finally we've got right at the bottom just another slight little wiggle. Now from the top we want to curve. We've got the spider web pattern coming down and going right the way down the abs. So we just want to draw that line down, follow the curve of the chest, and then bring it down just inside the edge of these ab lines, and it comes all the way down. You just put a little curve in between each line because the material is curved to follow the shape of the abs. Again, the same at the top here, just on the side to this side of the centre line, and you can just bring that line down, curve it down to follow the abs, and then just between each ab, just inside the edge of the red line where it goes to dark, the side of the abs, you can just curve it a little bit, and that gives you the definition of the abs again. So now you can see there's more web pattern, and underneath each one you've got another little bird kind of woggle, and again the same under the next one, little V. Now you go up, and off this one it goes curves, you've got a bird on that side, and then the same on this side, and it just touches the line. Now on this side underneath we can see we've got it, and it comes underneath the leg, and the same on this side going to the right. Now again, the web pattern above, we need to bring the line down from his chest here, and the same following his right shoulder, that kind of comes down, and the same over his right shoulder, curving down, and then right out to the edge, that curves down. Now above the spider we've again got this nice little set of curved shapes. So there's two, there's another one. Now we're going to ink this in. You can see that one curves over and touches on the construction line, on the grid lines. And then we've got another bird going right the way over. Right the way to the edge. So now you can see we've got this kind of superhero body shape appearing. Now we're going to fill this in with ink in a moment and then colour it in, because that's kind of what they used to do in the old days. A lot of comics nowadays are done on computers, computer illustration, but it all used to be done pencils first, and then they inked in, and then they coloured in. So again, what we need to do now is we will bring his shoulder down, so we've got a little curve there, and then it bumps out for his muscles on the side, and then the arm and the wrist come all the way down. Now you can see again we got the R shape on this side, but it's just reversed. So again, just simply draw a rectangle and then draw another rectangle going down. and that makes the shape that you're actually after. That will make that red banding on his wrist, and that comes down, and then you want that just to go up a little bit. Now curve the wrist down, put a little bit of wobble in it for the folds in the material, and then we can push that up, going up to his arms, up to his armpit, underneath where his arm and his chest muscle grows. Now we're going to bring this down, and you've got a big fold of material sticking out, and then that comes down to his leg. Need to just push that out a little bit. Now his left hand, he's got this cast on, but again all you got is this little rectangle shape that we've put in, and you've got a V. So curve that round over, curve the V up, and that's the white going up, and then you've got the nice kind of turquoisey green. Now his fingers that come down, you've just got a simple box shape and then a triangle, and then his thumb is just a rectangle, and we'll detail the fingers up quite easily, but that just makes the shapes that you need to follow. A lot of people think hands are very difficult, and they're not. Just make them up using shapes. Now his right finger goes there, and then we want 1, 2, and use a little finger right at the edge. Second finger, third finger. Now you can see coming over from his thumb, that's where the bottom part of his trousers is, that you can see in between his legs. The bottom of his groin. So we can now bring down the leg. It's just a great dark shape. We can bring the leg all the way down. Now underneath this we want a nice U shape. And that's the top of his kind of boots. And then that goes up. And then we want to bring down on this rectangle, this kind of tube for his ankle, where it joins his foot. And now we've got this incredible point at the end of his shoe, and then just connect those two up, and then the foot goes up. Now again we've got this web pattern on, and all we want to do is just curve down following the line, and from the top that curves down, touches, we've got a straight line across, and then that goes straight across. And then again we've got the web pattern just like the birds going up, one a little bit higher, and then that goes up his shin, and that goes down that side, and we've got like kind of folds going up, but again we've got the web pattern kind of inside the foot. So now in 20 minutes we've nearly got all of Joe down. Super Joe, well it's not Super Joe, it's Spider Joe. So again we've got this fantastic shape of his right leg already put in, because we started with the stick man, and then we've put the construction lines in using the shapes. Again the same thing on this side, just draw a U, and we can give it a bit more definition, and then the leg comes down, his ankle comes down to the boot at the bottom, and we've got this shape completely. Again you can see how it comes across and matches, and we just want to curve the front of his toes around, curve the top of his shoe, and then going right to the front we've got the web pattern. There's 1, there's 2, from the side we've got 1, 2, 3, making the web pattern. Again just think of drawing the birds. There's another one going round. and then that goes up. We got another line coming down there, and then that one on the side. And that's his leg. Now finally we've got the hand on this side. So we can come over from the thumb. We need to bring down that a little bit more, just because you're using your reference points to get your hand actually right. So now all we want is a little rectangle for the thumb, and you need to then just put a little curve inside, a little wobble, and that's his thumb, and then his finger coming off to the edge. Again, it's just another rectangle. Now his mask that he's taken off and he's just waving around, we've got this rectangle to the side. Here, just draw a D. There's a capital D, and then a little rectangle sticking out underneath. Then again, you've got that rectangle shape there, and we can just curve that around, coming out to the edge, curve it to join underneath. Then you've got the folded bit that's just flapping underneath. You've got this triangle that you put down at first. Draw down, just go across, and then curve it back up. And again, we've got the web pattern, so we can just put indicate in. So there, just with a pencil, we have Spider Joe down. Now we're going to ink him in just with a black felt tip pen. That's the next job. But this is where and how I want you to understand that drawing is actually very simple. Just using shapes. We used the very simple stickman first, then we put simple shapes on top, and then we're going to detail up. And I just want you to have fun drawing Spider Joe. And it's that simple. Just put the shapes down and get your felt tips out and get your crayons out and just have fun. Anyway, we're going to ink him in next. So now I'm going to use a fibre tip pen, a felt tip pen. This is quite a fine one. I'm also going to put a piece of paper underneath so I don't keep smudging everything. And we're going to start detailing Joe up. Now, I'm going to start with his eyes. So just a little curve indicating his pupils, and then you want the lines across the top, and you want his eyebrow, so you've got the line around the top of his eye and the bottom of his eye. It's what we call the bags around the eyes, but it's the top eyelid and your lower eyelid, and it's just the shape, it's just the amount of fat that you've actually got in that creates the different sizes and shapes, and everybody's genetics is different that allows those different sizes. So again, it's just a nice simple little shape, and we've got Joe's creases, his amazing laughter lines coming out of his eyes, top of his nose. Now we've got his eyebrow is nice and big and thick. Again, comic books used to be drawn by pencil and inked in all the time and then coloured in. So now I'm following the curve up over the top of his head and then down the side that we actually put in with those construction lines. Now we want his nose. So a little U for the centre, and it kind of just goes off to the side, indicate the sides of his nose, and then his cheek line, his laughter lines, that's just like a big D on that side, and we just want to curve like the top part of a C coming down. Now we've got that amazing smile, that lovely smile. I mean, he's just been doing just wonderful. How much encouragement Joe has given to people of all ages as well as children. And I just hope you children of all ages enjoy doing a drawing of Joe as Spider-Man. And it's just great. So there's his bottom lip. Again, just nice, simple, and a little bit more dark underneath where his teeth are. And then you want little lines for his moustache, over his top lip, coming down, and then the curve of his bottom lip, and we've got the curve of his chin, so you've got this big Y there, and this is, don't go as dark, and we're doing cross-hatch or just lines, and you build up by adding more lines and more dark. So now we've got this brilliant reference point here, and it's his ear bud. Now his ear just curves around the outside of it, and just put some lines in. Now his hair, and this is where we can really just build up, just draw the lines of hair as if you were brushing it. So at the top here it's flicked over and it's coming right the way down. So like down the side here, it just flicks out and then curves back to his shoulder. So now we want like these curves of hair coming down. We're going to follow his cheek down and then curve that down to underneath his chin, and I'm filling in his beard up to the side. Now his neck comes in further down, just slightly angled in, and we're going to put just a nice curve coming round of his neckline. Now his hair on this side, again, just a nice shape, just follow the little wavy lines down, and you can be a little bit creative, you don't have to follow it absolutely exactly, but you do need to have it going in the right way. So his hair at the back is coming down, and here is our comic book Spider Joe. And there you can see him really starting to leap off the page. Again, we've just got a nice diagonal line going up to that earbud, and the same there. I'm just filling some lines in quickly, and he's got a great dark crease line going up. Now I'm just filling that in a little bit more, and right where it's underneath you can almost fill that in completely black. Now again, the crease of his mouth to the side over his top lip. Now the top of his eyes, I'm just very gently and lightly filling in the shadow, and again a little bit, just little diagonal lines. And the side of his nose, just a couple of lines. Now back up to the top, we're going to curve those hair off the top of his head, and then going off from the side. So now here we want to follow his hair down, and don't forget to leave his earbud there underneath his hair, and then the hair is just, again, you can just have some fun flicking that off and coming off to the side where after his workout his hair's a little bit wet from his sweat. Here, can you imagine, does Spider-Man actually sweat as he's flying around in between all the buildings, firing his webs off? So again, we want some little bit of shadow underneath the bottom of his nose, and down the right hand side, just some light little cross-hatching lines for Joe's cheek, and then the same on that side. And there we have Joe's face quite quickly in as the comic book character Spider-Man. And then we want the shadow, just some cross-hatching coming down underneath his chin, down on his neck. Now, very quickly, we are going to draw over the lines that we've done for his body. And again, when you've put the construction lines in, as I said earlier on his face, just put some lines in for his eyes and his eyebrows. You know, if you're an absolute beginner, just have fun. You're not going for an absolute portrait likeness. You are just having fun. And this is the thing I want to demystify on drawing, is it's a lifelong endeavour. I've been drawing, and I drew my favourite cartoon characters as a 7-year-old. And so for over 40 years I've been doing this, and I'm still learning now and still just having fun. And I want you guys to do that as well. So now I'm just following these lines that I've already drawn with pencil all the way down. And I'm still looking at the reference, and I'm just adding some extra little wiggly lines for creases in the fabric as we go up. And you got brown on his back coming up to his bicep, and you got the crease going up there. We've got the little tiny little red line, so I'm just indicating that. Now we've got the shape, so we've got a thicker black line there, and that comes down, kind of crease there. And you can see there's a V, so I'm just indicating that V quickly. And then that comes down. Now we want a nice shape for his cast. So that comes off, curves across his thumb, and then curves all across his knuckles to the outside. Bit of a bumper for the white of the plaster cast, and that goes up, and we want a little V going up over to the edge, connect at the end. Now, fingers, we've got these shapes, and it's just amazing. Like I say, we've just used rectangles. Just imagine them as sausages and shapes. It's so simple. So the thumb now, we just come down, little wobble over the top of the knuckle, down to the end of the thumb, curve it underneath, and up it goes and joins. Now his finger coming out of the plaster cast just comes down, curve it round, under, up to the knuckle, and then goes back up, and it follows your pencil lines, the one underneath. Again, follow that up, and then you've got the crease going up. Third finger, same, follow going up, and then the final little finger to the edge, and you've actually got a hand. Now that's really simple. People freak out about drawing hands. When you break it down and you put them into shapes, it just becomes so much simpler. Now, I'm going to go down the outside on this side, and just following the line down all the way, right the way down to his wrist, and just put some little wiggles in because it's kind of fabric. It's not skin tight like the proper Spider-Man suit. And then his arm goes all the way up into his armpit, and then it comes down, and then we've got this fantastic fold there. That's just great, and it's just brilliant when you see these, and you see these little things. Draw them, enjoy drawing them. Little, in comic book characters, they are so perfect. Spider-Man's suit is skin tight, and it's just great to actually have something that a little bit different. Now we've got a little flash there for the red. Now we have our little spider. So there's the square over the top, and then you want a little V at the bottom. It's kind of darker on that side, and I'm just cross-hatching on the edge. You want the V underneath with a little gap, And there you can see it's just like a big M. Sides of the spider coming down, and then a V at the bottom. And his chest comes round underneath and comes in. And that goes all the way up. So it's actually darker in that little bit. And then we can just cross hatch the rest in. Now his legs, we've got a V there, and then that leg comes down, and this one just goes up. And then on this side, I'm just moving the lines over a little bit. So we've got the V, and then that curves down, goes down the outside. And now we can see our little spider logo appearing. Again, V on this side, just go up, match the height on that one, and then the one above, the same. There's the V, and then that curves down underneath, and we also need the black line in there on that side of the spider. We can bring that leg down to match that side. So there's our Spidey logo on his chest. So now we need to fill in these lines where the black joins the red. And because you've done the work with the pencil, and this is what used to happen, is there were artists specifically called pencilers, and they would do the pencils, and then the artwork would be handed over to another artist who would then ink in, doing this black inking in, and then it would be handed over to a colourist, and somebody would actually colour in the original artwork for the comic books. It was very rare that one artist would do the whole lot, that they would do the pencils, they would do the inking and the colouring all together. And it was just an amazing production line that produced the comics that we now know as these incredible feature films. So now we've just filled in those black lines. Now we're going to do the webs underneath on his chest. So I've just given another line under his collar. I'm going to start with the centre one. And so this comes down, goes, we've got a little line underneath the bottom of the spider logo. We've got a little line that goes around the outside at the top. And then it comes down, and I'm just wiggling as it goes over each set of the abs. Now again, we want the ab lines underneath. I'm starting from the bottom, coming up. There's that one that curves under, and then this one, we've got the bird going that way. And there's his chest line. Now we can put the rest of the web patterning actually in. So that comes down, curves over. That ab comes all the way down, curving all the way down. Going off from his shoulder. Curving down, joining that top part. We've got one line there. Now we've got a couple of little folds in the material, and then we've got his shoulder line. So we're going to do the side ones all the way down first. Now there's actually two lines. There's two lines, but I'm just doing one. Just depends how accurate you want to be. You can go as detailed as you want, but I just want you to have fun. Again, if you're just using a simple felt tip like me, it's quite hard to do and it really wouldn't show up. So I'm just doing that one simple line. Again, following the curve down over the chest muscles, over to the shoulder. And this one, it's like a banana, just follow the curve out. Little one going down there, one to the edge. Now, coming round here, we've got these simple, just imagine you drawing those birds' shapes going all the way over. Now again, we've got these ones going out to the edge of the shoulder, and then there's just a couple on the top. Again, the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, out to the edge. Now, just a couple little lines there. Now we've got the ones coming down over his abs. There's one bird. There's 2 birds. Here's the 3rd bird. There's the 4th bird. Now we've got just a simple little bird V there. Another one at the bottom set of abs. And there you can see that the top part is now done, and we've just got the bottom part of his legs. And this is how quickly you can do a drawing and ink it in and have fun. And while we've got all of this time, develop your drawing skills. I can remember just sitting drawing cartoon characters for hours and hours and hours. My earliest memory of a comic book drawing was the Bash Street Kids. And so I'm going to draw this leg down here while I tell you about the Bash Street Kids. Again, just follow the lines that you've done and just, you know, wiggle for some fabric. But I was about 6-7 years old. My brother is about 4 years older than me. Just over 4 years older than me. And he had done a drawing of the Bash Street Kids. This was a bunch of school kids who weren't homeschooling. They were actually in school. Well, a lot of the time they were in school. They were quite a boisterous bunch, the Bash Street Kids were. And it was winter time and it was snowing, and my brother had actually done a drawing of one of the Bash Street Kids. Panels of their cartoon strip from the Beano. Dennis the Menace was the main character in the Beano. And anyway, the Bash Street Kids had been out in the snow, and the snowball had started to collect them all and then collected them all up, so you got a giant snowball with arms and legs sticking out. And my brother had drawn it, and I copied the drawing that my brother had done. So I'd got 2 bits of reference that I could copy, and something clicked in my mind. Here I'm doing the web again on his feet, so just going to do the outside of his boot coming down. I'm going to do the patterns going up. But I had got something that I'd figured out, that these cartoon panels, I could copy them and I would be able to see how I'd done by looking at the original comics and the cartoon panels. And that's what I did. And so I started drawing from my comic books, Dennis the Menace, the Bash Street Kids, and then I got into Star Wars in the late 1970s and early 1980s. And so I would draw all of those. And then I started getting into Judge Dredd 2000 AD. And that's literally what I did. I grew up drawing comics and then fell into main art that I do now, quite literally, because I was doing a design degree, not an art degree. But that's another story, and will come out in another video, very, very possibly. Now again, we've got his legs should come down, and really his kind of knee should be about there going down, but this is going to be quite dark and quite black in a moment. So now we're going to draw down this leg. But anyway, that's how I started drawing, by drawing cartoon characters, comics, and I mean, you got everything from Peanuts and Snoopy to Garfield the cat and Calvin and Hobbes. These were all things that I grew up with and enjoyed drawing. And then I just got into fantasy art and science fiction, like say Star Wars and all of those kind of films, and the Muppets, the Dark Crystal. Even the Dark Crystal was mentioned again recently. And these all are amazing things to draw. But just drawing things in your house, a cup, a mug, a box of something, these are all things that you can draw that are around you. If you've got a pet, draw your pet. Draw them from life as well. Don't just draw them from a photograph. Again, I'll cover a lot more about drawing pets and animals and all kinds of amazing things. And it's just wonderful how simple it is using shapes. So now we have another thumb. Again, just a nice wiggly shape. So here it's a bit just like a simple shape. We had the rectangle coming down, and it's just an hourglass shape that becomes the thumb. Little line on there, and you've got his thumbnail. Now again, coming off the side, we've got the fabric coming down, but the hand, you just want going out to the knuckle, top of the finger, knuckle joint on the finger. Now, we got this D that we drew earlier. Curve it back round, and you've got a little line there for the spider pattern. Just literally just finished off those lines underneath where that is folded under. Now his mask comes out, we've got that nice curve shape coming around, go all the way up, and you want to draw the spider pattern on. We've got the crease line coming down, spider pattern goes all the way round, line goes there, that goes up, joins up. Now finally we've got this little bit underneath. Little crease line, a little crease line. Now I'm going to use a Sharpie because it's just got a bigger nib than that other one. And I'm going to fill in the black very quickly. And we're doing, again, following the kind of direction of the creases of the fabric. And this way you can fill in large areas very quickly. So this bit underneath is fairly well shadowed. And we've got crease line coming down off the top of his thigh, going down to his crotch and underneath his groin. It's a very kind of dark bluey black, and again we've got his leg, we've got all of that is in kind of shadow down to his knee, down to the side, and then because of his hand and his left hand, this is all, his left leg is pretty much all in shadow. So I'm doing the bulk of his leg. Okay, I'm just putting some cross hatching in quickly across there, and then solid thick filling in. And again, band at the top. Now we've got a little bit around the bottom of his shoe. Same, very dark down his right shin. And then we want these crease lines coming up. Again, you can see these incredible crease lines in the fabric, the folds. And they will become our kind of definition for our shapes. So if you just squint, you can see a lot more of the bulk. So here we've got the big bicep, you've got the shadow, and you're just putting the bulk in. And there you've got the incredible definition now of the shape of the fabric that is the muscles on the spider suit. A little bit of dark down there. So now, eek, I'm just dropping my pen. We've got patterning. I'm just filling in quickly. Again, just cross hatching all of those areas, just zigzagging really quickly and nicely. But again, I'm following the kind of direction that those crease lines in the fabric would have. So we're just filling in nice and quickly. And we've got some light shading, some grey, all the detail, well, not detail, but the shading on our Spider Joe. And you can see there's a kind of horizontal pattern going around that bicep. I'm just kind of curving it just to make it work around that side, just to shape it a little bit more. Just doing some quick cross hatching. Now you can go a lot slower than I am, but I'm just trying to do this tutorial as quick as possible, just so that you guys get the gist, and then you just spend your time drawing as much as you want. Now there's some little creases there. Again, even things like here on the red, the shadow underneath, just putting some little cross hatching underneath at the bottom. And it just creates the shade. So again, the chest muscles, just some little nice diagonal lines. And then you've got his arm here, shoulder, going up to the shoulder and neck muscles, and then you've got the shadow cast by his head right across the top, and then just coming round at the top of his neckline, just going off. Now again, his right arm, we've got the same, we've got creases down. So we've got those horizontal lines coming around the bicep. So we just indicate those going up quickly. And then we can increase the shading, coming all the way down. That comes down to the red, and then we've just got these creases down here. We've got that little diagonal, and this is kind of grey. And we've got shading all the way down, because the light's kind of coming from here, this way direction down, so the inside of his arm is darker, and we've got the highlight on the outside. So we can increase that on his bicep. Again, even here, so we've got that couple of creases coming down, folds in the material. Just put a little bit of light cross hatching in for the shading there. Just build that up a little bit. Now again, here it's a little bit more just down the sides. And then right down the bottom part of the six-pack, we can just fill that in a little bit more. Then coming right the way down to his feet, a little bit of light cross-hatching on the plaster cast, and then on the back of his fingers. So we've got shadow, but don't go all the way over the end finger. Just inside his thumb. Then we've got mask in his hand. Shading down underneath, and now finally down onto his feet. So we want, just like we've done these, keep your lines kind of going the same way, and you can build the shade up. And again, the foot just a little bit coming down to this crease, this straight crease right at the front where you got this triangle, a little bit of shade down the side, right the way up to the edge. Now again, here we've got two fold lines where his ankle is, but we want to, just like these, completely shade in that side because it's very dark, and then the same on just on the left hand side. And then his shoe, you've got this kind of black bumper right round the front and up the side to his heel. Now I'm just going to increase the line of his leg, the darkness going up. And that is a full, just move the paper out of the way, black and white drawing of Spider Joe Wicks as Spider-Man. How that is just fantastic. Now, before we colour in, I'm just taking my Stettler rubber, my eraser, cleaning it again on my jeans, and I'm just rubbing out the pencil lines now, just going all over the body, all the way down, just to clean out the lines. Because when you colour it in, especially with things like yellows and oranges, when you actually colour them in, the pencil can actually dirty up your felt tip pens and your colouring in and your pencil crayons. So it's good just to erase off your pencil lines. So again, I'm just using a big brush. You can use a piece of kitchen roll or even your hand. But again, if you don't want your hand to get dirty, that helps. And there we have a very clean Joe Wicks as Spider-Man, which is absolutely fantastic. And now we are going to colour him in. Now, I'm going to use, like I say, some cheap felt tips. Now, get these, you can go straight on the paper, but if you have a little piece of paper, you can, so that's a kind of orangey red, and that's a darker red. So I'm now just going to fill him in really quick. I'm going to put the orangey red all the way over first. Now you can just go straight in with a red and just fill it all in. Originally comic books were very simple colours because the printing process is called CMYK. Cyan, blue, magenta, which is red, yellow, which is the Y, which is obviously yellow, and K for noir, for black. And they created, if you actually look at a colour magazine or a colour comic now, they're created using dots. There's a screen of dots, and those four colours are what make everything look the way it does. So there straight away you can see he's already kind of looking a little bit more red, which is great. But this is a kind of orangey red. Now again, I am using, these are from Poundland. These are cheap felt tips. You know, they're not the hundreds of pounds and hundreds of dollars markers that you can get from art stores, the Copic markers or whatever they are. The pigment markers, which are absolutely brilliant. I've yet to have a go with them, but I'm sure I may well end up having a go at some point in the future. But I do these videos so that you can do this at home. So that's all the red, first kind of tone coloured in. And again, I'm now going underneath where the shading is, doing a second kind of layer quick. And just filling in. Now, I'm now going to go over, again this is kind of cross hatching with the red. So I'm lightly and quickly filling in the red, and the orangey red and this red, there you can see, make it very, very good. Make the colours as good and as close as you can. I mean, if you check out in my How to Draw playlist, the Pokemon ones, I use these and they're a bit zingy. And there's one of Danger Mouse and Penfold, and it looks like Penfold has actually been to a tanning salon and he's been on Strictly, and he's been hitting the spray booth for the fake tan. So he's quite an interesting colour. But that's the thing, you are limited with the colours that you get in the kits that you have. So again, I'm drawing over the shadows with this red. Now, Spider-Man is normally blue, but this is quite a dark grey. They're two blacks, so I've got a grey felt tip and I've got a blue felt tip. So this is kind of grey. Oh, it's a nice grey blue. Again, you can do a test first, and you should do, and it'll give you an idea of what the colours actually are of your felt tip pens. So I'm filling in all of the areas where there's bits of cross hatching, and you can hold it like a normal pen if you want, but I quite the side of the felt tip nibs, you can actually fill in a wider area than just the nib point on the top. I actually quite like that colour, that's quite a good one. Now I'm filling in these very lightly before I go and do his arms. And again, we've got the grey here, so I've just filled that in very quickly. Now I do know that the kind of flash colours in felt tips are not brilliant, so we're not going to use them. Now again, I know that with this blue, that's not very good. That's not really going to help us. But we do have something that looks very close to the green. Oh, that's pretty good. Off his plaster cast. So right now he's looking quite anemic. So what we're going to do is we are going to get the pencil crayons. So this is just a flesh coloured pencil crayon. And I'm filling all of his flesh in a flat tone. Now again, early comics were just flat colours. Remember, just try and leave his teeth showing. So the flesh tone was just a flat tone, and it was the cross-hatching dots of the lines of the Inca, like on the fingers down here, that gave you the actual three-dimensionality and the shadow of the tone. But now I am going over and adding more tone with the pencil crayon. Now you can see Joe's flesh colour really starting to come up. So the sides of his nose, leave the bridge of his nose highlighted, and then do around his eyes, his eye sockets, the side of his head. This is all at the moment just with the one colour. Now his fingers again, I'm just increasing the shadow side underneath. Now that's the flesh tone. This is a kind of ochre, yellow ochre kind of tone. It's a very light tanny brown colour. So I'm very lightly just adding some of that on. All over, and that gives, there you can see straight away, a little bit more depth. Again, filling in around his eyes, down his hands and his fingers. So I've done that one. Now we've got quite a nice warm brown, kind of sienna colour. And this, we can now really build the tone up, go right across over the bridge of his, like between his eyes, the little bit at the top of his nose, then down the shadow side, laughter line coming off the side of his cheek, underneath his nose, the side of his nose, coming down the side of his cheek, the side of his head, and then up his neck. Now he's got very dark brown hair, so this is quite a dark brown. Now I'm filling in tones. Oops, I have just completely coloured in his earbuds. But fortunately, we can deal with that in a moment. There's his beard bit going up. Now, his eyebrows. Now, above his eye, and the top of his eye, right in the corner, is darker. So you can fill those bits in a little bit and increase the shadows. Right around his eyes. And there you go, you can see his eye sockets are now really well shaded in. So now, I'm going back with the pinky flesh colour, adding on his lips, and it doesn't matter about your tone going over his teeth, because, and now I'm putting some red on his lips, because his teeth are in shadow. I'm just adding a little bit of grey on. So now what we want is that brown colour again, and we can add darker shadow. The line underneath his plaster cast, inside of his thumb, underneath the fingers, and again the same, the edge of his thumb down just underneath that cuff, coming down. But now with the grey, I'm going back over these lighter parts and just filling in. And your pencil crayon might and should just be able to add some highlights, a bit on the biceps, just lightening those up a little bit. Now I've got a very, very lighter grey, and that'll help on these lighter parts down on his wrist. This lighter brown on his hair. And then I've got the white. And I'm just picking up his earbuds ever so slightly. There, straight away. Now we want the grey just for a little bit of undertone, but I'm also going to put in a little bit of reflected flesh, because that's the colour that's reflected off. And this is the bonus with what you can do with pencil crayons. This is, in a sense, you would say, oh, these are like slightly advanced art techniques. But they're not. There's nothing wrong with actually putting reflected colours in already. If you learn to do that at a young age, you'll be doing it in your art all your life. And that's an absolutely lovely thing to do. So again, I'm now getting the grey, adding some crease shadow lines in, highlights just on some of the red folds. Now I'm going to get an orangey red pencil crayon. I'm now filling in all the little white paper bits where we use the felt tip, and it fills it in absolutely lovely. But your pencil, your felt tip colouring in gives you a really good solid base. I actually missed off, there we go, some lines. Doesn't he look pretty groovy? Now, if we get a very dark blue, we can now fill in some parts of the dark parts on the spider suit. And I'm going back to the red, because I can see some big white bits showing through on there, coming around on his neck. Now, the red there reflects up the centre of his neck and up the side, but it's also in shadow, so I'm going to use the brown and darken that down underneath his chin. Again, the side of his mouth needs to be dark, and that needs to be darker, and underneath his nose. And there we have Joe Wicks coloured in, looking like Spider-Man and a half, which is absolutely fantastic. That's right, I'm just moving the paper out of the way so I can see my colours. Now I'm coming in with a black pencil crayon as well. But you press on lightly, don't press on too hard, and this will fill in again. It will go over the tones that you've already laid down with your felt tips and your marker pens and all the other colours. And you can just get rid of all of the little white bits that are showing through. Now again, I'm using the side of the pencil, the long flat side of the actual pencil. And it just allows you to fill in larger areas quicker. Right the way up there. Oh, we've got red there. We need the darker red. Right up that corner. Pressing down on his chest. Coming round. Now, I'm now at what I could call the faffing and fiddling stage. Now I've got a lighter orange. I'm just adding some highlights on the tops of the folds in the fabric of his abdominals and his chest muscles. Coming down over his shoulder and then down this side, top of his foot. So now we're up to last little bits. I'm just filling in and adding some brown into his hair, side of his head up to the top, just a little bit, just feathering that over the edge. Creasing the shadow down the side of his nose. Ooh, I have a pencil crayon. Now that's nice. Just a little bit of nice highlight on the top of that turquoise, and now a nice darker turquoisey blue for his plaster cast, just for the shadow. And then finally, could have done this earlier, but he's standing there as a comic character. But we do need a little bit of shadow going off at the back, and also we need the artist's signature. I really hope that you have enjoyed that beginner's art lesson, because I have. That is Joe Wicks as Spider-Man. I have really enjoyed doing that, and while you're at home and you're doing the exercise lessons with Joe and you're doing all your other homework, I hope you pick up pencils and pencil crayons and felt tips and have a lot of drawing fun, because I've been doing this since I was a child and this is fantastic. And I just love encouraging you. So I hope you've had fun doing this. Please do like and subscribe. There's going to be lots more lessons covering lots of different topics. But that's been fantastic. Thanks for your time. Take care. See you in the next drawing. Ta-da.